Ladies and gentlemen, Street Fighter V fans all over the world, we are getting closer and closer to the playoffs here at Street Fighter League Pro-JP 2021. We are here with the official English broadcast. My name is Vicious, here with my main man Xian, coming back to us after a long month of hiatus. I gotta ask you, Xian, you've been watching week in and week out thus far, every single episode of Street Fighter League Japan. I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts going into the matchups ahead of us today?
I think I haven't missed a single matches, of SFL so far, and have been very excited to be coming at this moment where it's a very critical moment for all the teams. All the teams basically have 2 matches left, with most of it having 1 home and 1 away. But however, there's 2 teams, which is, Team FAB Roto-Z with 2 home teams, as well as Nagoya Oja Bodystar having on the 2 away side. So this will be a great advantage, to FAB Roto-Z, but a really big disadvantage, for Nagoya Oja Bodystar.
You can see right here, there's only a couple more games left, right? I believe there's just 4 more days of regulation play for the season as Street Fighter League, right? We're getting closer and closer to that playoff spot, and we're getting closer and closer to seeing Luke possibly on the stage, hopefully. We've seen his release not too long ago, and a lot of people have been making huge progress with him on the internet, especially on the North American side of things, but internationally as well. I've seen some of the tweets going by. Luke is actually going to be available by next Tuesday in terms of regulation play. We might see him show up in some of the plays, who knows, but for the most part, it seems like Luke's been a pretty significant factor within the roster of Street Fighter V, and it's going to be ever so important for a lot of these teams to start getting these Ws, because there are playoff implications coming up real soon for some of these teams. As you can see, the full explanation. Sam, why don't you give us a breakdown as to what's going on with the playoffs?
Basically, with the playoff, the top team, which we can a little bit assume that it's going to be, Good 8 squad, it's going to be on the first place, and it's going to advance into the grand final straight away, while the 2nd and the 5th place will be advancing to the playoff, with the 2nd and the 3rd place being on the upper side of the bracket, and the 4th and the 5th place on the lower side of the bracket. For the other 3 teams, they'll be eliminated, and it's going to be really unfortunate. So at the situation right now, all of the teams are having a really close fight between especially the 2nd to the 6th place, and they want to get to the upper side of the bracket, so there's a lot of things to be fighting for right now. So this is going to be really exciting anytime from this point.
Absolutely, a lot of things on the line, especially right there and before your very eyes. 8 million yen. The full breakdown with 1st place getting 5 million, 2nd place with 2 million, 3rd place with 1 million in their pockets, split 4 ways for those teams of 4. Again, that is a pretty significant exchange rate. If you're coming in from North America, everybody in the States, you gotta be thinking to yourself, man, 8 million yen, that's a pretty significant deal. Well, guess what? It is, as we get closer and closer to those playoffs. For this week, actually, we've seen a lot of these runbacks happen. It's been pretty close. Yesterday, we've seen what transpired from a couple of those games. Even the dog in the background was like, yo, man, Vicious, you got to tell us a little bit about what happened the other day, these last couple of days, actually. Going into it for this episode, we saw Good 8 Squad face off against Mildom Beast. Good 8 Squad, being the #1 contender, actually fell short 1-3 against Daigo, Mochi, as well as Fudo, and we saw how that played out with significant results coming in from Daigo as well as Fudo, with YC Mochi actually getting blown up by Gotsuku. Following that, we had Saishukan Sol Kumamoto face off against Gyogun in a matter of a draw situation, with Michigan actually clutching it out with that Blanca. We see how it played out for Nemo. Fell just a little bit short with Moke in a very impressive run. Shuto also falling just short by the wayside against Machibo's Candy, which is ever so impressive, right? Machibo getting these Ws. But that anchor match, Nishikin, completely unprecedented. Xian, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened between Camouflage Detonation and V6 plus FAB Roto-Z?
Okay, so for this match, that's happened, I felt like Camouflage, is at a very disadvantaged situation, because they are really at the bottom. Both players really want to get to the point, but in this point, the situation counting by match, Detonation has a very low chance, of really winning because they have lots to match. And they also have a Nagoya Oja Bodystar against Shinobizen Gaming, MOV losing against Momochi's Akira the 2nd time, from the home side and the away side, Dogura is still doing really well. I feel Dogura is like the star of the team. And Akira, not to forget, has been demolishing all the Gaos, and this time is against one of the best young player, Higuchi, 3-0. Really impressive, score right there.
And you see the full point breakdown. Good 8 squad, as Xian prefaced it with earlier. They're pretty much at the helm when it comes to their current ranking. I think they just need a couple more points to thoroughly secure themselves into the playoffs. I don't think there's going to be anything else really that others can do. Maybe the V6 team, if they go, maybe like 8 games straight and Good 8 squad happens to score absolutely nothing, they need just a couple more points to secure it. You can see this between 2nd and 5th place. What's really important, what I want to see, is what's going to happen with 6th and 7th place. Camouflage Detonation, I don't think are going to be in the running anymore unless Gyogun happens to score absolutely nothing. They could shake things up a bit for the other teams and make themselves some sort of a nuisance. But at the same time, I don't think there's going to be too much unless they have a perfect run, and if Gyogun happens to fall extremely short with his last couple of days. Again, there's only, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday left after today's matches, right? So not too much to go with.
Actually, with the situation of Good 8 squad, only having 1 loss, against Mutant Beast, they are on an absolutely tearing record. I just couldn't be seeing how they could be left with 0 points, coming over, as well as the other teams as well. Scoring 0 points in this situation where everyone will be training their hardest at the later part stage of this SFL is gonna be really difficult because everybody has worked so hard. During the final moment, everyone always gives the final push. So this is a time where we see all the attacks, and all the most exciting secret they have been keeping up. This will be the moment they will be showing out.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good 8 squad really hasn't faltered to any other team. If anything, at worst, before their loss to Mutant Beast, they've had a high, actually. So now's a really good time. If you want to show some support towards your team, it's got to be now. And what better way to do that than is to tune in through Capcom Fighters JP via YouTube, Twitch, and Mildom, as well as tweeting us out over on social media for the English broadcast. Xian and I have been throwing it down for the entirety of the couple of months, actually. In October, St. Cola throwing it down with F-Word as well. But who's really going to be throwing it down now? Gyogun at the away side, led by Mago, the 2D god, alongside Mr. Optimal himself, Machabo, with Nikali and Cammy. And of course, who could forget? Moke, the hero Sunrise, running it with that Rashid, getting some W's for himself, and Mizuha, of course, being the final man with that Colleen. The 4 M's to deal with. That is Team Gyogun, who are at the current chopping block right now. We talked about the playoff implications. They cannot risk doing poorly at this phase of the game. Xian, again, now, they're facing off against Camouflage Detonation. Who consists of that?
Yeah, we got Itabashi with the Abigail and Zengi, and I would call him the Abigail player already. Nauman, the Evo Japan champion, hasn't got a chance to go out to shine, but has been doing pretty good so far. And John Takiguchi, I would say he's the star of the team. He has almost become a Kami specialist as well. And let's talk about Tachigawa, which is struggling a little at this moment, trying to get a win for himself and the team. Talking about Tachigawa, I felt like this Street Fighter League has made him almost a Kami specialist in fighting Kami using Cody, because you would see that he was always coming out, to fight against Kami. Whenever a Kami player show up, his Cody would appear. And that has been throughout the league. I felt like he has been practicing the matchups more than 1,000 games at this point. And today we are facing the Gyogun, which is the king of Kamis, I would say. So many Kamis in the team. Tell me if you think John Taiguchi is gonna be playing Cody against this Kami again. What do you think?
No, I think you're absolutely right. With the current predicament right now, Moke is going to be going up first with that Rashid, Mago following suit with that Cammy, and Mizuha being the anchor as Colleen. Best believe there's going to be, you know, a lot of talk with Camouflage Detonation, whether or not they want to have the run back. One of the biggest threats here for this team, without a doubt, is Mago and that Cammy. The last time Gyogun faced off against Camouflage Detonation, it did end up in a 4-0 predicament. As you can see on the top right, Mizuha took down his game. Mago actually took down John Takeuchi, as you were talking about, and Machibo getting his win against Itabashi with that Nikali, by the way. So the biggest concern right now is whether or not John Takeuchi is going to go with that Cody play. He did last time, but he fell short 0-2.
Well, that's also the only time that Machabo has bust out his Nikeli, but in this situation, you know, now the home away has already switched side. So it's very important to notice that Machabo cannot be, you know, taking out his Nikeli because he's not going to get the matchup he wants because he's on the away side of the team right now. So you'll probably be seeing, you know, Cammy if he actually is playing, but you know, he's on the reserve side, he can't get the Nikeli. You're not going to see, and this is a fight for detonation. It's very important because if you really want to stay on the top 5, the only chance is to score all 4 points. I know it sounds really hard, and it's not only for them to score all the points, they need other teams to be losing as well. But this is their chance, and I do want to see them breaking through at the last moment, getting 4 points in a row today.
So you're thinking to yourself, with this home team discussion, I'd imagine Itazan is saying something to troll us a little bit, but he does say he's asking the team to stick to the plan. But as it stands right now, we're taking a look at who's going to be going up to bat first against Moke's Rashid. I'd imagine John Takeuchi would want to go first, considering the fact that he has full comfortability in that matchup, as he used to be a Rashid main, and that's actually going to be the case. Cody is going to be who's coming up to bat against Moke, and as you can see, with the current image, we've changed up a little bit. We've talked about some of the points and some of the statistics. This one got a little lengthier, right? At the top, you can see the amount of points that John Takeuchi has accumulated for his team with the total games played following suit afterward, and the overall percentage that he's had with the anti-airs, EXDPs, EX skills used, where his meter is going in terms of EX bar as well as the age. All of that being considered now as it gets ever so important. Moke with just 3 points for himself in the total amount of games that he's played, but I think with his overall statistics, you can see how consistent he's been with his meter usage, with his anti-airs, and how much of a threat he truly is. So, as it stands right now, it's Cody versus Rashid.
And I really like the fact that there actually has been a really high percentage of the invincible reversal. You know, it's part of the game that a lot of people don't really take notice about. But if you have a very high rate of doing a reversal, you know, your defense automatically becomes really good because opponent gets really afraid to be pressuring you on their wake up. You know, they're always trying to defend against the DP. And a character like Rashid has a lot of ways to get out of the corner. The jump, EX dive kick, the different arc of the wall jumps, you know, the EX eager kick when it's in the V trigger too. So many different options, you know, making it a really, really good way, you know, to improve on the defense. So this is actually really devastating, you know, for important, I would say, for players with a very high percentage of EXTP, because you gotta start taking a lot of notices, you know, on how to really offense properly against that particular player.
I think you're absolutely right. And as we get into that matchup itself, we're going to see how it unfolds between John Takeuchi and Moke for our first match. We obviously have to go through the trivia each and every time, and starting with the home team. The theme today is, what do they keep in mind when it comes to a team matchup? What is the biggest consideration when it comes to a certain scenario, when it comes to like this team gameplay? And Itazan says, as his response, that giving advice is important. So they have to support each other with that. And I think that's very much so on point. I mean, when it comes to a team tournament, you do have to rely on other people a little bit more often and kind of see that third-person perspective. What I love about fighting games, Xian, the most part, is that it is 100% all on the individual. But when it comes to that team scenario, when it comes to like the team play factor, you obviously are still going to be going one-on-one against certain opponents, but at the same time it's like, all right, well, we have strategized putting you against certain characters, we have strategized the way that you should play your playstyle against other players' playstyles. We want to use you to the most advantage in certain positions, right? Positioning and character matchups are absolutely important, way more so in a team factor setting.
And I also think that in a team tournament, you know, you actually improve a lot, because normally in a normal individual tournament, you know, all your teammates or any players is your opponent, so they can't really advise you as much as it doesn't really benefit them. But in a team tournament, you know, they always improve so much of all your teammates sharing your weakness, you know, your advantages or what you're strong at, what you're weak at, and that will improve generally your gameplay a lot. So I've seen a lot of growth in this player, but this time we're not gonna see John Taiguchi fighting against Cam. He'll be fighting against his old main Rashid. So there's no unfamiliarity in this matchup. We'll see how this is gonna go.
Yeah, even Nauman said the same thing, right? It's not just the individual's responsibility to win. They got to work harder for the team to achieve results, right? They have to make sure they come together as a unit. And we'll see how it plays off right now. John Takeuchi starting things off against Moke with that Cody. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect in this matchup.
I think the good thing about this is that John Taiguchi actually knows what Rashid wants to do and what is thinking at most of the position, because he himself has been a Rashid main for the longest time. So with this advantage he has over, you know, Moke, who doesn't probably not understand how Cody is actually thinking in most of the situation, you know, that this matchup will go in a little bit of a favor of John Taiguchi. Nice escape from the corner. I really don't like how all the dive kick is safe from Rashid.
Yeah, not a lot of people do, to be quite honest with you. And I'm glad you mentioned Moke strategizing against Cody, right? The last time John Takeuchi won against the Rashid, it was in episode 7 against Gachikun, the Rashid player in the league, right? So as you see, you know, John Takeuchi is still in this corner, but I think he's played it well so far, and Moke been putting up quite a surprise and quite a fight. Already 36 seconds, big whiff punish, a giant counter poke there from Moke.
This has been a pretty slow matchup, you know. John has been trying to slow down the pace of the matchup, you know, so that he can frustrate Moke more, you know. But Moke has always been getting the corner position for the last 30 seconds, you know. John has been trying to get out of it, you know, but he isn't able to find a lot of, you know, situation to be moving out of it. Cody does not have a lot of wall jump or, you know, cross-up situation, so he really need to work his way out of the corner. Right now, they're gonna see no recovery from Moke. There's no way you can score the win unless Moke makes a mistake and do a quick recovery, and there you go. The first round just goes to Moke like this.
Right, there was no chance that Moke was going to do any sort of quick rise. And what's funny about that, also, John Takeuchi had full critical art, so he wasn't even building himself any meter as he was getting these throws. But already spending the first bar, close to stun, the V-shift break to kind of alleviate some of that pressure as Moke is still stuck in the corner. The jump off the corner, speaking of, off the wall, gets him the escape route again.
I think that is one of the gameplay that is very important for Rashid is whenever an opponent actually traps you in the corner, you can just switch the position, and right now you can in this position where no players, you know, would like to be facing. The stun is building up really high, and I like the decision of John Taiguchi. As you can see, he's doing a lot of V-reversal, using EX Zone to push himself out of the corner, just not only to try to hit his opponent, he just want to get out of the corner, go back to the neutral game, and there you go. That's where he kind of shine in this matchup, you know. He's doing a lot very well in this neutral game, scoring the damage as long as he's not in the corner.
I even think getting himself into the corner was just fine too. I think he contested it pretty decently, didn't take too much damage. It was just a matter of trying to get Moke off of him to get himself swinging, because if Moke gives John Takeuchi the business in the corner, then there's not a lot of space for John to actually get the counter poke situation going or the whiff punishes, because he's the one that's trapped. But for the most part, I think it's Moke that hasn't been able to open up John. It's just if he gets a life lead and manages to keep John Takeuchi a little timid with the button presses, that's where he gets the advantage, right? But as it stands right now, John Takeuchi, I think, has been outpacing Moke majority of the round.
I do agree. Even though he's in the corner, you see he's very calm when he makes the decision. But Moke is trying very hard, you know, to keep his position because in the neutral game he doesn't really stand a chance. In the corner you get some advantages, you know. So this is the moment to crack John Daigochi, and it looks like he's on the way, doing really well. That was a nice wall jump fake out, you know. John was actually trying to use the V skill to avoid the tornado, to punish, you know, get a great punish, but Moke went for the wall jump instead, comes out the medium kick punish, scored a big counter hit and got the game. You know, one bad decision right there from John only causes him this game, so he probably has to rework his strategy around the EX Tornado win.
You can see just how close this matchup can be, right? Despite the life lead from certain instances, it has gone down to the wire a good amount. A good amount of time has passed throughout each and every one of these rounds. It just shows you how much depth there really is between these two players and how close it can be. Just one simple mistake could really lead to your failures, actually. Moke already getting that first sequence into the corner, but John Takeuchi getting a full conversion into the final fight combo, now putting Moke in danger. We'll see what's going to be the route to get Moke out of here. Is it going to be via a trigger activation? No, he's just going to go in raw.
I think that was a great combo, you know, not only score so much damage from the level 2 Zong, even get a nice position. But right now I think John has to really start interrupting the EX Tornado because Moke is using a lot of it, you know, to get in the pressure and push the screen to his advantage. And John not being able to react to most of the EX Tornado is gonna be really, really devastating because Rashid actually still gets an OP whenever he goes into your face. I really like the knife usage right there from John right here. He gets a really beautiful whiff punish from the down medium, scoring into the CA for the win. That was a nice round.
That was an excellent conversion too. You can just see John Takeuchi just fishing away. He's looking for those confirms constantly with that crouching medium punch, and it's just such a threat too because of the increased distance he has with trigger 1. But now Moke does get the crush counter first. Spinning mixer now into the corner. John Takeuchi still trapped in this corner with the life lead yet again. Look at him counter poking Moke just constantly. He's okay fighting in this corner.
That's the skill of a player right there. Cody is not a character which can fight himself out of the corner easily besides the EX Zone. John staying calm right here, you know, is what makes him knowing how the matchup and what the Russian player is actually thinking. And this dive kick save is so annoying, but John gets to do a nice activation, bring it back to the mid screen. He's in the V trigger mode for both players. It's almost full CA right there. Beautiful V skill. That was beautiful.
Oh, it's so sick. I love it. We barely got to see that at all. We got to barely see the whirlwind shot, and he actually made it work. He actually still reacted to it and was ready for it 100%. That's actually crazy.
I wonder if he's just gonna score that one hit or is he gonna spend his meter, you know, because Moke is on really low health right here, so he may just need to spend any hit into a CA, but it seems like he wants to save his meter, and this is the 5th or 6th EX Tornado that Moke has been doing to get near John. I hope he can just have a good answer on one of it, and that is gonna take him the round.
Oh my god, look at how many crouching fierces were in that sequence. Moke still, yes sir, playing the life lead game. Slowly frustrating John Takeuchi. We're starting to see the cracks in his mental, right? John Takeuchi, as calm and collected as he is throughout the entirety of the match, when it comes to the final few seconds where he has to make that comeback happen, Moke comes out the better man. Looking at match point again right now, looking at the advantage point, actually, I should say, from Moke. Great anti-air from John Takeuchi. Yes, a big swing turnaround. Here we go now. John Takeuchi on the offensive, close to stun. Can he get it against Moke?
And now he's trying to score the EX Zone to maintain the block stun right there, but couldn't. Now this is Moke's turn right now. Nice block there from John. But Moke just get out of his corner, going back to the neutral. No anti-air right there. This is gonna be big. I like the avoid, but the timing is just off by a little bit. Now Moke is trying to go back to the neutral. You know, no, he says no. He just go in straight with the EX Air Tornado. Yes, kick going into and the wake up. Eager kick.
What do you mean?
No way.
Oh no, Xian, I have to pick your brain on that one. how often does that actually work in high-level play? How often does that actually work?
That's very rare. The option is kind of really beats, it's only back dashes and shimmy. But the good thing is that it felt like it was an executional error from him covering his mouth. I felt like that was a stand-like kick because there is really a chance of that being a stand-like kick because the executional error from there is not gonna be too shocking. But a wake-up eager kick is not an option that I will say is not impossible, but only he will know what exactly he has done. But that saying, as a player, I think getting hit by that losing, you can be smiling, but it's a really salty loss right there to be hit by such a move on your wake up. So I wonder how they're feeling right now.
Pissed. Pretty upset, I'd imagine. John Takeuchi looks a little stunned after that entire sequence. Gyogun just as stunned, I feel like. They weren't even... Man, do you see the statistics? The statistics on Moke right now. He is passed with flying colors. 2-0 against John Takeuchi. 1-for-1 on anti-air. 1-for-1 on invincible reversals. Not including the Eagle Strike, because that's definitely not invincible, I'll tell you what. But it still worked. Either way, John Takeuchi falling just a little short by the wayside. 2 out of 6 when it comes to anti-air. A very similar situation when it comes to Rashid's, right? Kind of like with what's been going on with like Rashid and Cammy. It's so hard to consistently anti-air these characters because of the fact that they could change their trajectory. But Cody also not having an invincible reversal in his arsenal really to get himself any sort of stats. So as it stands right now, Moke getting himself a very lucky W towards the end. And I will say throughout the entirety of the set, maintained his control with that life lead. Very impressive.
I think it's a really kind of an ending I would really want to see because since Team Detonations has very low chance right now, I think a lot of people will be cheering for Gyugun to actually be doing better right here so that they can score, and go up to higher in the table since they have a really good chance of being on the playoff. They're on the 5th place right now, and all these 1 or 2 points is really, really crucial for any moment to be getting up into the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place, and it all makes a big difference when it comes to the playoff. So let's see what is the second character that you think is going to be coming out to fight against.
This is tough. It's like, do they go for points or do they go as the disruptive factor for the rest of the teams, considering their dire situation in the playoffs, right? I don't think they're going to be making it as much of a threat getting into that 5th place spot. So it's going to be Itazan actually putting in that work with Abigail. I like that.
I think Itazan doesn't really have a very good track record against Margot, which is what he had been saying. Itazan has been saying how do they actually deal with Margot, because Margot is actually gonna be one of the problems. And Itazan saying if he can beat Margot, the team will be really happy. He can actually take up the win of Margot. So Margot seems to be the biggest threat for his team. It could be the player Margot, it could also be the character Cammy itself. So this will be a very good momentum change, for the team if Itazan, as the captain, can take this for the team. Margot definitely isn't the best when it comes to EXDP. You can see that his success rate is only 58%, where Itazan has 100% when it comes to the invincible. Well, to be honest, Itabashi, Abigail is not really a EXDP character, so it's only CA. Yeah. So he probably done only 1 or twice, which is why he can get 100%. So to be fair, it's not exactly perfect stats, for Abigail, but it's still a good judge, to say that Itazan is a really good gambler when it comes to reading it and spending all the resources.
That's like betting red or black one time at the casino. The first bet you make before stepping into the halls of Evo. You're over at the casino. You got to make sure you place that bet before you go in. That's Itazan right there. He makes that one bet, and you know what? If he walks away a winner, so be it. 100% rate. That's going to be just fine. But we're getting ourselves ready for this particular matchup, right? It's going to be Itabashi Zangief. Actually, Itabashi Abigail going up against Mago's Cammy. And with the away team trivia, again, with the current theme, as we talked about, the theme is, I believe it is, what do they keep in mind when it comes to the team matchup? Mizuha says creating the mood is important in a team match, especially how to cheer someone up, especially when they lose. Machimo says that he tries not to think too much and just do his best for his matches. That's all you can really ask for, is pulling your own weight in the league, or actually in a team situation. I can't imagine how often I've seen certain teams falter by focusing on too much on the wrong things. Even before like Street Fighter V team battles have started happening with Street Fighter League, you see it time and time again. Like every single major has had their team tournaments happen literally before the main events.
Yep, and I feel like being in the same team with Margo has to be one of the greatest feeling ever. If I've ever traveled all around the world, you know, and I felt that Margo is so cheerful as a team leader, you know, so that's definitely Mizuha may be referring to Margo when it comes to, you know, the mood, because I think Margo will be the one that's gonna create that the best, you know. Is definitely a great leader as well as a great player. That's why their team has been making up, you know, up to really far. I would say Margo's team isn't a team full of champions, but they are all really good players, you know, and it felt like the teamwork, you know, that Margo has always, you know, making his team really, really good. And he always tried to teach the new generation or his players how to improve on his gameplay. A great coach right there. That's what I would say.
You know, Mago has actually been one of the champions for Street Fighter League. I think one of the biggest ones against, one of the first ones, I believe, back in 2019. They were actually the champions that took down the North American team as well. So again, he knows what it takes to be a champion in terms of the team battle scenarios in Street Fighter League. So here we go. We're going to see if he manages to rise above and beyond against Itazan with that Abigail, swinging already with that stand roundhouse.
Yeah, I like how he's swinging on. It's the best, you know, the crush counter button. And that was an executioner mistake that Cammy players always happen. It just changed the entire game, you know, of how he trapped Abigail in the corner, and now I really like he just get out of the corner, and that was a really crazy whip punish. The understanding Margo has in this matchup looks really ridiculous with all the whip punish that he has been doing so far. Nice grab.
Oh, that back fierce could have led to so much, but Itazan not really getting much of it. The stun does dwindle down on the side of Mago. He does have full trigger as well, so he needs one single activation. Could lead to a gang of damage, actually potentially into critical art if he builds up enough meter off of the hit. It depends on what route he goes into.
That is why he's actually slowing down his pace right now, because he doesn't want to go into the battle, because right now Margo only needs a single hit to actually kill Itazan. But Itazan, as long as he has his meter, it's gonna be a one-hit game as well. So I really like the slowing of the pace, but that slow recovery of the button that Itazan chose to make has result in a whiff punish by Margo, leading to B trigger and a DPCA. Great awareness and conversion there from Margo, taking down round 1.
Exactly as you mentioned it, right? As soon as Mago had loaded up on his meter, there was a significant slowdown from both sides. You can see Mago looking for one thing, really. And now going into the next matchup, next round, already putting Itazan into the corner yet again.
And it's in a very short time, Margo always managed to put, you know, Itazan, Abigail into the corner. I think that means a lot. The executioner error from Itazan not giving the Abigail punch into a Oki, but got the heavy Abigail punch, and now the situation changed completely. In fighting games, especially high-level plays like this, you can't afford to actually miss something that big. And the empty jump from Margo. Why is that Margo understand Itazan so well? Itazan hasn't done a single parry, but Margo actually went for an empty jump knowing Itazan is not gonna anti with a down heavy, but will decide to go for the parry instead. This is a sick read right there from Margo, and I think as a Abigail player, if you get rid of your parry, it goes off a really bad start. You know, Itazan has to rearrange his mindset. He has to find the adjustment, you know, that he can, you know, do so that Margo cannot read him so well.
That's the scariest thing. You know, I used to think Mago was one of like the scariest players overall. Like we haven't really seen him kind of be this character that he's been in Street Fighter V. You know, back in, I'm gonna sound real old on this one. Back in like older games, in like, you know, Third Strike, and see previous videos of him, you could see him be very, very serious and be such a dominant player as he is right now. But there's just something about him, like having these kind of reads on players is just so dangerous. I still don't even know how to answer your question. Like, I don't know where it comes from. Mago just understands certain tendencies of players and exploits them to a T. He does it so perfectly, but now he does it with a smile. That's what makes it even more dangerous.
Yes, I definitely agree. I mean, he is not the best, but he has a lot of experience over the years with many different games, and he always stays at the top, which is why he's the 2D god, you know, Mago. And he's not only a great player, a great leader, he has also taught a lot to a lot of the new players. Even me, I'm getting coached by Mago when I was traveling. He's a very great guy. I think he earns a lot of respect from fellow players all around. And nobody actually underestimate his skills. This is the kind of player, you know, you want to learn something from him and yet figure out how to beat him at the same time. So we're gonna go back to the match.
There's one of the confirms that Itazan has been kind of lacking for the first part of that game. First part of the set against Mago. Now he's a lot more active offensively. He's not even going to let Mago run his course in neutral, already putting Cammy into the corner. That could have been an option select, but missed his opportunity. The stun slowly dwindling down again. Mago has another chance at life, but also with full trigger.
I believe he actually, if he got the stun rather, he could have been able to kill Mago already. But I really like his changes in strategy in this game after a little break from the game one. He became a lot more offensive, moving more forward, you know, so that even if Mago actually hits him, he don't land in the corner straight away. So the change in the approach in just one game is why these players are one of the best in the world when it comes to, you know, their gameplay and their character, because they're able to adjust to their opponent. But Mago is now really trying to score the comeback. But Itazan now with the sick read, the jumping light kick, you know, it doesn't really beat a lot of options. When Abigail does that, it basically almost beats only throw. So that was a great read right there from Itazan to end the round.
Very true. Absolutely very true. And what a time to use it too, just with the pixel left. That's the only time you'll really get the most out of it, because again, if he had survived that, he would have been, or if Mago had survived that, it would have been a complete onslaught, maybe even lose the game. But Itazan again making the correct reads. I like that preemptive back fierce catching it, but now the parry coming in full effect. We talked about it earlier. If Itazan also can get himself that parry and get himself the situation against Mago, and in terms of momentum, it could be Mago's demise. Right now, Itazan has been controlling the pace a lot, with his normals taking up a lot of the space with crouching medium punch and crouching jabs a lot.
Yep, and having a parry really serves as a very strong mental game. And that buffer right there going into the Xian is gonna put him into one pixel. I felt that the momentum just changed strongly right there. Oh, like the damage. Mago's Cammy, you know, Cammy is a low health character. You can't really afford to get hit a raw hit like this, you know, from a character like Abigail, because it does really big damages. I like the pace right now. Abigail Itazan has changed throughout his game. He's gotten a successful parry. It's gonna stay in Mago's mind. Mago is gonna remember that, you know, he can't really be taking a lot of risks when it comes to jumping. You know, that is the key game right here, because Cammy has to jump against Abigail. You know, if you just play only on the ground, that is what the Abigail player really wants. But when the Abigail player is very confused on how to deal with the dashes and the jumps, that is where Cammy stands a chance to get the offense started, not only from the ground, but have with a lot of different opportunities getting there. I like how serious they are going into the menu after every single game, because we don't used to see that, but because at this point, every single point is so important for Gilgun, they're taking this really seriously, and I look forward to see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, as it stands right now, Mago has been the one on the back burner, or at least on the back foot. We've seen him take... Dang, that was cool. All right. That standing medium punch actually catching Itazan pressing buttons. That was very nice. And Abigail Flip already off to a great start despite Mago. These two are actually swinging for the fences against each other. They stopped with the formalities. Now they're letting all the normals rip as fast as they can. It's looking like Mago has the upper hand. But I say it, as soon as Itazan gets his confirmed into activation for the trigger, he's chasing down Mago. Mago wakes up with buttons. Xian, what is going on?
They both has been waking up with buttons. They haven't actually activated the option of blocking so far. You know, they really want to put this a fast-paced match, trying to get his opponent confused. That's the strategy both players has been trying to adopt in this round, or to say game, because they're not playing the slow footsies anymore. They're trying to move in right here, you know, but now it's game point for Mago's Cammy. So you can see that Abigail has been slowing down his pace. Itazan is not trying to go too risky. He don't have a lot of rounds to be risking. We're back to the whip punish game and buffering game from both of them.
And that's exactly it, right? Itazan actually got his buffer. Prior to that, Mago actually whiff punished a crouching medium punch from the side of Itazan. So you can see how active both of their minds are, and you can see how active some of these normals are from both sides. Mago taking the slower approach, forcing Itazan to maybe whiff something a little heavier than a jab, and you can see Itazan absolutely on it. Yes, sir, he baits him out successfully. Just a couple of more sequences. Mago with the read and the punish as well. This is going to be huge. Trigger activation is coming up soon.
I really like how Mago is so aware the moment he doesn't miss a buffer, the drill just came out straight away, the cannon strike, you know, and I really think that's very, very strong awareness right there. One more hit right here. I'm nervous for Itazan. I can't get hit by anything, you know. Itazan knows that he just stay blocking. You know, Mago is not going to want to get the throw. He just want to find something to be with punishing right here. Yes. Oh, didn't bait out this slide into the trigger, and there's only 13 seconds left. Both their heart is pumping really fast right here, but Mago went for it.
Oh, no punish, no proper punish. Oh my god. Oh my god, the V trigger 2. Are you kidding me? There were so many drops from Mago to actually take it down against Itazan. He flopped 2 times over. Oh my god, that could have been it.
That has been both sides of it. Like, Itazan failed the punish as well. Out of the 10-second amount of mistakes, you know, you can see even players of their level, you know, they are actually have a lot of intense situation where they couldn't make the right decision as well. And now it goes to the match point. I haven't felt this intense, you know, in a very long time between them fighting. Now they slow it down. Mago is afraid to confirm the down medium kick. No, and he missed the drill. There's too many mistakes right there from both sides, and I wish they can adjust it as fast as they could at this point.
That's actually pretty wild. You can see how intense it is, how much pressure there is for both players to have this many significant mistakes. Big buffer there from Itazan. Mago just running into the normals. Activation off of the crouching heavy punch. This is great. The reversal getting thrown out. Itazan now in the corner. This is going to be a huge moment for Mago to start sealing it out. But Itazan just throwing out a lot of these jabs, and Mago running into every single one of them thus far. How many jabs did he just run into? What in the world? Are you kidding me? How did that hit?
He just went for a down medium kick knowing it's -3 and feel that Itazan is definitely going to be pressing a button back. So he went for the DP, trying to get the OK situation. And that jumping Itazan is ready for the anti-air. That was not an anti to be throwing out like anytime you want. Itazan was waiting for the anti. He knows the exact moment to throw it out. I feel that Mago has came out with all the tricks on his sleeve, because I've never seen Mago going for like a -3 situation into a DP. You know, he has everything on his back. He takes everything out. You can see he couldn't smile anymore right now. Like, I haven't never seen him try so hard for a long time. Usually still play a lot of neutral game, playing solid, but this is a very different style of Mago. He's trying his best to win, but he couldn't get it. First time it makes me felt the disappointment that he's showing right now.
Yeah, we've seen some really unorthodox behavior coming in from Mago. Pretty risky overall, but that's just the kind of play that he was forced to do against someone like Itazan, right? It wasn't the fact that he was such a defensive player and being timid and just blocking. It was more so being an active wall of normals that was throwing Mago off severely, right? Mago has not found a way to stop some of these normals that Itazan was pressing, buffered at the perfect time, getting a lot of these hit conversions. And this is the first time we see this kind of statistic, right? Itazan got 1 out of 3 in anti-airs. Usually that number is way higher, not in success rate, but in terms of how many times players have opted to miss the anti-airs against Cammy, right? Because Cammy can change her trajectory so consistently and so often that leads to fat damage that players don't even try to anti-air. But this is the first time we've seen an actual shutdown from one player, and that is Itazan.
And that is also for the win as well. The I believe, is the forward heavy into, you know, the winning round that he has got. And I also really like how Itazan still has a 100% record for his invincible, you know, because he hasn't done any invincible CA. So he maintains the 100% record throughout the SF League, which is very impressive. You know, he only gamble once and it pays off, you know. So I really like how everything is going. It doesn't have a lot of wins, you know, on his belt for this team, but now he's scoring at this moment, and I think it's very good morale right now for his team. Even though they may not made it for the playoff, but this is a moment where, you know, they want to be united as a team and score as much as they can, you know, to get into a better place.
Speaking of the score, right now they're potentially looking at 3 for both sides, right? The fact that it is tied 1-1 points, Moke getting the first game, Itazan getting the second. It's up to the anchors of both teams. It's going to be Mizuha with Colleen, Tachikawa versus Chun-Li. Tachikawa, I think, is one of the few members in the league that has not scored a point just yet, but I will say he hasn't played as many games as the rest of the contenders here. Mizuha, on the other hand, had a little bit of a rocky start, but is starting to build up some of his points. He got 9 points overall in the amount of games that he's played. Overall, does a pretty good job with anti-airs, 70%. Not too bad whatsoever with that statistic, and plenty more where that comes from. Again, how the EX is used, we can see Colleen pretty much utilize EX a lot, right? From what, Vanity Step, Parabellum, etc. When it comes to the V-Gauge and how it's spent, majority of the time, when it comes to Colleen, you're using that V-Gauge for the activation because of how powerful the comeback factor really is.
Yep, and Mizuha is actually an old Chun-Li main for Season 1 and 2, so he actually understands Chun-Li pretty well. This is not a matchup that he doesn't know, but this is going to be a matchup of footsies, as you can see, because both players have really good reach when it comes to the buttons on the neutral game. You'll not see a lot of jamming, especially from Chun-Li, you know, so now we get to see a beautiful ground game from these two players. It's the first to 3, whoever adapts better to get the neutral game will be the one winning.
Very excited to see it. Damn, back-to-back roundhouses just clipping another one against Mizuha. You can see a little bit of frustration setting it from Mizuha's side. It's like, man, how many? That is 4 already. One of them being a crush counter. Kawa not getting a conversion, though. That's going to be just fine. He is getting smoked by Roundhouse.
I almost thought that was a button check because the amount of stand heavy kick he has been throwing, it felt like he has figured out that is the button in this matchup to be throwing. Like in this, I felt that the buttons of Colleen is not so good against that stand heavy kick at that range, which is why he has been throwing so much of it. Surprisingly, it works really well, but the V-Trigger 2 has scored him so much damage for Mizuha. And now he's back to the slow pace right here. He has a lot of meter to spend, but he really get the damage that he wants, having the lead, and he's just gonna be very careful about the V-Trigger, but he's still...
Damn! That was actually disgusting. Just smoked him right into that Parabellum. That was so sick. And man, Tachikawa, where have you been? Where have you been? Being one of the players that hasn't gotten a W just yet, that was actually pretty solid. The way that he played and dismantled Mizuha in the beginning of that round. Now it's going to be, we're going to see the adaptation slowly coming together from Mizuha, being a little bit more active and tighter with his button presses, but still running into these heavier normals.
Yep, and I can tell you nobody in the league want to win as much as Tachikawa right now. Having a record like this, I would definitely say that Tachikawa has spent the most effort, at this point to try to score a win, But now he's gonna be dealing with the V trigger 2 from Colleen. Wake up with a stand medium punch. Wow, all the tricks are coming out of the bag. I really like their decision making right now. It's no longer about blocking, hacking, or back dashes. They are waking up with a lot of different options, specifically counting against the player itself. When it comes to high level play, it always goes to a point of player to player strategies. So this is what we're seeing right now.
You can just see how potent the spacing game is with Tachikawa. He's doing so well in outpacing Mizuha in neutral, specifically with low medium kicks, standing heavy punches, and of course, majority of it being that stand roundhouse. But now utilizing the fireball game just a little bit against Mizuha. Look at the confirms from Tachikawa and the amount of patience played in this neutral game. You prefaced the matchup earlier. You were saying a lot of this is going to be focused on the ground game, but Mizuha, even attempting to go airborne, has led to failure. And look at the amount of damage incoming right now for Tachikawa. That might just be more than enough.
I think that is able to kill right there, but it's not an instant storm, and you're gonna guess high-low at this point. And I really like how Tachikawa is also going for the neutral jump one instead of the forward one, just to keep himself safe, while getting the 50-50 on the high and low. And not to mention, Tachikawa actually has almost perfect anti-air, in this match. No matter what button he has been pressing, he never fails to go for that back heavy kick. His focus and awareness in this match so far has hit the maximum that I've ever seen from a player like Tachikawa. He's not allowing any loophole from the air. He's keeping his ground game strategies intact with stand heavy kick, heavy punches, And I like the overall strategy so far. Empty jump this time. Change of the strategy right there from almost getting the juggle.
And it's so close too. Tachikawa is still maintaining that pressure in the corner despite being at the life deficit. Now throws down Mizuha, applying a little bit of pressure and putting himself a little bit of outside of range to be in that counter poke position with that roundhouse, letting Mizuha out of the corner a little bit. We see that trigger coming in from Mizuha, so I do believe Tachikawa is trying to get away from it, looking for maybe like a raw activation, but he doesn't want to be in the range that Mizuha gets a target combo into activation. He wants him to do it raw. He doesn't want to get it off of a hit. Yes, sir. And we see that activation already.
And I think Tachikawa has to really be switching up his strategy and the mix-up, from the V-trigger activation, the lack of knowledge from Tachikawa. At that situation, you should always jump forward so that you don't get mixed into 50-50. You can also go for V-shape at that point, because that is a 50-50 situation which only happens on a certain part of the screen. Now, Mizuha is really adapting to the stand heavy kick and the anti-air of Tachikawa. He's doing empty jumps at a very nice position right here, and Tachikawa is having a little panic on the defense right here. Let's see if he's able to overcome this right here.
You see Mizuha still trying to get past the plethora of normals. He does have the life lead, so he doesn't even have to come into Tachikawa's space, but it does get him enough damage to get that activation off of the trigger. EX Parabellum off of the lows. He's going to get that corner carry as well with the double ice javelin. Triple, make it a triple. EX SBK coming out clean for Tachikawa.
There's a lot of damage from the one hit, on the V-trigger 2. I felt that Mizuha has been scoring a lot of damage off the V-trigger 2, and Tachikawa hasn't really got a good strategy on it. But now it's important if Tachikawa can make this into a 2-0. That would be really, really huge. Mizuha is really afraid right here. The unblockable. No, he didn't went for it. Probably afraid of the V-shift. And a little mistake right there going into the corner. Couldn't score that one hit. I wonder if Tachikawa went for the unblockable, Mizuha will be ready to be reacting with the V-shift. I felt that Tachikawa has overthink a little at that point. The unblockable should work, because we can see that Mizuha actually didn't went for the V-shift at that point. So 1-1, pretty nice adaptation from Mizuha, and I want to see Tachikawa not doing as much stand heavy kick, strategy. What a fast air-to-air at the start of the round.
Oh, just raw legs, and now the heavy punch is coming in now. The roundhouse is still in effect. I know, Xian, you wanted to see less of it, but I'll tell you what, Tachikawa is not deterred. If he's not going to throw out the heavy punch, or heavy kick, he might throw out the heavy punch instead. But Mizuha going into it now, the trigger, the big crush counter off of the Fierce. And the throw bait as well.
Get those stun right there. He's scoring so much damage, and he's still trying to build some meter, you know, for the next round. I really like those calmness right there from Mizuha. He's not anxious to clear off his opponent. But right now, as of the previous one, you can see Tachikawa has adapted on the anti-air, which is really impressive. He stopped using the back heavy kick. You know, he uses a jump heavy as the air-to-air. So both players are in very clear mind condition. You can see from what the decision they have been making. So let's see how they're going to adapt further from here.
Man, the second time he's gotten that trade combo. Mizuha absolutely consistent. The ice javelin coming in. The forward throw, or the back throw, I should say. Mizuha now gets the upper hand. It's looking rather clean for Mizuha. He's found the right adaptation despite not going into the lobby. He immediately pressed the rematch button and knew exactly what the objective had to be against Tachikawa. What are some of the key adaptations that Mizuha has made to take down Tachikawa in such a convincing fashion in Game 3?
I think the jumping position that Mizuha has been using and his B-Trigger 2 has always been working out for him. The difference between Game 3 was Tachikawa hasn't really been able to use a different strategy, or to say he hasn't been able to counter Colin's B-Trigger 2 or having a better answer, because Mizuha has scored so much damage in the 3 rounds, or even say 3 games using once he activates the B-Trigger 2. It's one of the strongest 2 that Colin actually has. So you really need a good strategy or a way to deal with it, because I felt that Tachikawa has been scoring a lot of damage when it comes to the neutral game and stuff. Even the anti wasn't really that big, you know, for Tachikawa. But whenever, you know, you see Mizuha activating that B-Trigger 2, he's taking way too much health of Tachikawa, and this has to change. If this is not changing, you know, Mizuha is gonna be comfortably getting the Game 3. So let's see what adjustment Tachikawa is gonna have in this game.
We're going to see it play out right now. Again, this is do or die time for Capcom Fighters Detonation. As it stands, they are not doing too hot in the standings, and between this matchup between Gyogun and it's going to be tough, right? They're going to need as many points as possible, but at the same time, it's looking pretty grim. Gyogun having a very, very solid start into this episode.
Yep. Not to remember, you know, top 5 qualifiers, and you know, right now Gyogun is at the 5th spot, guys. This is a very important game for Gyogun. You can sense the seriousness, and there was a really big jump in from Mizuha, you know, reading against that fireball. You don't even see Tachikawa throwing as much fireball at this point, but that jump in read, you know, is gonna give Mizuha a really great momentum. Now that Mizuha is not even using the B-Trigger 2, he's really scoring a lot of damage off in the neutral game. This is gonna be devastating for Tachikawa to get a comeback. But let's not underestimate Chun-Li's B-Trigger 2, because he has a chance to come back, but that is not happening on this round.
We talked about that, those heavier normals, right? Now a lot more susceptible to those whiff punishes. One of the big changes of Season 5, right? A lot more of a presence as it retracts. So again, Mizuha making all the right decisions to bait that out, and now getting himself into that double parabellum situation. The anti-air definitely there against Chun-Li with that floaty jump. No escape, but still that roundhouse coming into effect as an anti-air now from Tachikawa. Still trying to bait out into the neutral, but the jump-ins not contested. I like this conversion from Tachikawa now. The big tech from Mizuha. There's the activation raw.
There you go. And now this is where he scored a lot of damage. Tachikawa is playing really afraid. I like how he's changing his defensive option right now. He almost getting his B-Trigger. He's now playing back with the neutral game. He has the lead, honestly, in this situation. But now he's gonna go back to the one-shot situation for Mizuha. It's too scary for Tachikawa to do anything. How is he gonna score that comeback? Always see an EX kick to try to activate. Always There you go. I like that he confirmed right there. Now he's pushing into the corner. Big damage. One more guess for the win. What's it gonna be? Throw? Ooh, and punishes the V-shift, you know, with the option select, or to say the recovery of the V-shift is very long, so he still get a punish even after the throw. Nice option there from Tachigawa.
And you called it too. You called that entire sequence to the T perfectly. Wow, what a time to use the EX SBK. Not the right time at all. Mizuha now looking to get the stun and does so, folding like a cheap suit. Tachikawa is gonna be put to rest alongside Camouflage Detonation after this critical art. Mizuha scores 3 points for Team Gyogun, keeping themselves safe so far for this week, or at least today, in 5th place. Tachikawa looks so clean.
This is a really great win for Gyogun because they are on the 5th place with 24 points. And right now having this 3-1 win over... why are they not looking happy? Yeah, so there's a 3-1 win. They actually got 3 more points, which makes them at 27. You know, that means that they are gonna be on the same spot as V6 plus FAV Roto Z, which is actually top 3. So this is such a good result, and they're always smiling. And at this point, I think that they should be really feeling themselves, because they only have one more game, which is gonna be on the home side, because they have one away game, which is they just played, and they have the last one gonna be on the home side, having an advantage being on the top 3 side of the table. This couldn't have been a better result for Gyogun unless Margot scored the win against Abigail. But overall, this is pretty great, you know, I feel.
You're absolutely right. As we take a look at the current statistic, 4 out of 9 when it comes to anti-airs from Tachikawa, 1 out of 3 when it comes to invincible reversals, and that is from the EX spinning bird kick. Absolutely getting demolished by Mizuha. Although he's 1 for 7 in anti-airs, it didn't matter overall in the end. And 0 out of 0, of course, you know, Colleen not really having the invincible reversals in her arsenal, it's not gonna matter too much when Mizuha completely dominates the matchup. So let's take a look at the highlights and what we went through in this matchup. Again, John Takeuchi seemed to have pretty much the upper hand. You see the life deficit here, but there was a lot of control from the side of John Takeuchi initially. However, Moke showing his pro status by keeping himself aware of the situation with the clock, doing pretty well for himself.
I think Moke is really good when it comes to the offense, and whenever he actually gets to start off his offense, you know, he actually does so much damage. But John Takeuchi is more of a slow-paced player, you know, but he has some really nice brief punishes, you know, against Rashid's bottom, which is not really that easy. And this kind of awareness of the neutral jump on his wake up, going into a shimmy, completing the sequence right here is what John is really good at. But Moke, you know, being very unpredictable with his decision, also especially that wake up eager kick, the most salt that he has ever eaten from that win. I have to say that was very shocking.
It really was, actually. We saw a lot of surprises in some of these matchups. In particular, this one, Mago versus Ida-zan Abigail. Actually, Ida Gale, not even Ida-zan, Ida Gale. But there was a lot of hard reads coming into this matchup. You can kind of see how desperate some of these plays really were. But it came out that Ida-zan holding it down with some of these buffers, getting a lot of the damage output against Cammy. Like, although Abigail may be like a big target for him to get bullied by Cammy, if Cammy happens to slip up just once, Abigail can destroy you.
This round, I felt that so many things that went wrong. If only Margot went for the correct conversion for the win, or he doesn't get the right punish, if the EXDP never, so many is gonna happen. And now we got the anchor highlight match. You got the wake up stand medium punch, you know, from Tachigawa. There's a lot of very unorthodox decision making right there from both players. But Tachigawa has also shown a lot of nice game plan in this matchup so far. And I felt that although he didn't get the win, he did manage to show what he has been practicing of, you know. But the trade right here is just so devastating right there for, you know, Tachigawa, taking him into the lead.
Yeah, we started to see that adaptation coming in from Mizuha, making a big adjustment against Tachikawa. And Tachikawa was still fighting pretty well, right? He still had some of his options covered, but that very last sequence, he tried to be a little bit too desperate with that trigger 2 activation, hence why the EX legs came out. Wasn't going to be the choice, as Mizuha again takes it down pretty convincingly. That was a hefty amount of life too to be desperate on, but as it stands right now, Gyogun gets themselves 3 points, and they got to be feeling pretty good about it, considering that they've been on the chopping block for quite some time. With the current rocky start that they had in the league, they fell just a little short and prefaced their position in the league at a very low outcome, actually, very low positioning. But they've been going back and forth between 2nd place and 5th place, actually. They've been going all over the spectrum when it comes to the placements. But as it stands right now, and you mentioned it earlier, they're in a very solid position to keep themselves in playoffs because of the fact that Gyogun now is going to be in the home position in their next game against Shinobiism Gaming. And that's going to be quite the matchup to behold, because Shinobiism Gaming has been doing pretty damn well for themselves as well in the league. But overall, yeah, they needed as many points as possible. I'd imagine they're completely ecstatic with their results against Camouflage Detonation.
Yep, and I would say that they actually have been in almost every position besides the 1st place throughout the league. I think it's been a really big roller coaster for this team. You know, they have been in every single from 2nd to the 8th place, besides the 1st place, because Good Squad has been bugging on that spot, you know, that king seat, and has never left that seat for the longest time, you know, but they has been almost on a roller coaster. I can't imagine their feeling when they're actually discussing, you know, and playing the matchup. It is definitely has been a havoc, you know, situation, you know. So we got Mizuha also saying, you know, like he's actually not really confident who is gonna play against in the anchor match. So he kind of felt relieved, you know, and lucky to actually win. This is actually true because he's on the away side. He doesn't know which character he has to be practicing. So the confidence is less, but it's just what it is, you know, when it comes to the home and away. And Margo is saying that they are aiming for the 2nd and 3rd place position. I felt like Margo really wants that win so that he get 4 points, because he will actually land on the 2nd place if he actually, you know, get that 1 point, because now they're on the same position as FAV Roto Z. Maybe that is one of the reasons why Margo felt like it's not as happy as he usually looks, because he lost. But I feel that now they are still at the 2nd, 3rd place, tying in this position is still definitely good, and I do think that they will be making for the playoff.
Right, it really depends on the results for some of these teams, right? There was only 2 more games for all of these teams to play. Camouflage and Gyogun got theirs out of the way, leaving them with just 1 left in the season. Everybody else has to play at least 2 more games. Actually, yeah, 2 more games just in general. You know, V6 plus FAV Roto Z versus Grenade Squad is what you could expect after this break. But for the most part, if V6 plus FAV Roto Z, the 2nd place team, happens to falter with absolutely no points, that could be a huge shakeup. They could still be within like the 5th place contention. There's still a chance for number 6 to take over the number 5 spot, and that's actually one of the scariest pockets to be in from both sides. So they want to secure as many points as possible. That's going to be the gameplay for a lot of these teams going into the playoffs, obviously. But as we get it right now, the action will be coming back between FAV, Roto Z, and Good 8 Squad after this break. You've been tuning into Street Fighter League, but come...
さて一丁やってやりますかね。はいクリア。イージーモードだっけ。しっかり見たか。常に臨戦態勢さ。
私が出なくちゃ始まらない。
進むのみ。
格の違いをお見せしますわ。
それでは参りましょう。まずはマッチ2。
Back into it, we have our second match. Good 8 Squad versus V6 Plus FAB Roto Z teams. These guys have been going back and forth between first and second and against each other for so much. The Hiroshima Predator, Gachi-kun leading the pack, followed by Kawano, the next generation when it comes to some of the youngins here. But don't forget, we also have the unshakable boxer that is Pugera, putting in that work. That switch up to boxer has been nothing but success. And of course, Kichipamu, the massive pad grappler, one of the biggest threats, and I do mean the biggest threat when it comes to Good 8 Squad. These guys have been doing phenomenally this season and are looking to secure their spot in first place for playoffs.
I think it's so crazy that Kichipamu actually is probably one of the most sit-out player of all time. You know, and right now we have FACB Roto Z Sako, one of my favorite players, with them Magnat. And then you got the Ryusei, the more younger generation player, you know, and it's been really devastating with his Urien. And another Urien player, Tokido, needs no introduction. He's one of the best in the world. As well as Bonchan, the executor, everyone really knows how good he is. He's also the Evo champ. This is a very scary team. Coming to say about their team strategy, you know, I thought that Bonchan is definitely going to be playing today. Because I realized a pattern when it comes to their strategy is Bonchan will never sit out as a reserve player when they are actually on the home position. Which makes a lot of sense because Bonchan has like 3 different characters. He's an Evo champ when it comes to the player, he's a great player. Comes to a matchup, he's like, there's so many different characters for different matchups. So whenever Bonchan actually sits out, he's always on the away side. So for the next 2 games, FAB Roto Z is gonna be on the home side, and they really need to score the points, you know, to maintain either the first, second, or third who goes into the playoffs. So I definitely think that Bonchan will be playing for all of the matches from now.
I like that. I like that assumption there as we see who's actually going to be playing for the away squad, or at least the away side. You can see it right there. It's going to be Colleen, Boxer, and Rashid. It's going to be pretty significant, the fact that Kichipamu is sitting out yet again for the squad. That's
Why?
how many
I know.
games straight has he been sitting out?
I felt like every time I see Good 8 squad, he is always sitting out, no matter they're on the home team or the away team. I felt that at certain situation we do see other players being sit out, but this has definitely been one of the most sit out players, of all time when it comes to SFL League. And it could also be because his team has so many great players that it always came into a situation where the other teammates, which is Evo champ, Intel World champ, Capcom Cup champ has a better situation, So let's see how this match is gonna go. The last time Tokido actually lost against Gachikun, so Good Squad scored 3-1 against them while they were actually on the home side. Now it's the advantage comes to FAV Roto Z. So let's see this time how they're gonna be picking the matchups they want to be fighting against this strong war team.
See Sako actually going up first. We saw a little bit of banter between the team, and not so much banter, actually just reactions from the Eyes of Desperation, Ryusei being completely shocked that he's put on the bench yet again. He wanted to get his revenge against Kawano the last time they played. As it stood right now, when we look at their positioning, or at least the last time they played, Good 8 Squad actually took it down against V6 plus FAV Roto Z 3-1. Ryusei fell short against Kawano 2 games straight. He put the shades on. He's acting as the current coach now. I feel like he's going to be looking alongside Sakonoko as he gets ready for his match. The significant difference here in this matchup, Sako actually put himself on the bench the last time they encountered Good 8 Squad. Bonchan actually got his W 2 games straight. Tokido actually fell short against Gachikun, so we might actually see the run back here in the rest of the teams. Just a slight shakeup with Sakonoko, and we can see the amount of points he's accumulated for himself. Although it's 4, he's been such a significant role still with that, but not causing a bunch of problems. But against someone like Kawano, who's accumulated 11 points in the amount of rounds that he's played, again, there's going to be a lot you would need than just a little bit of problems. You would need a significant strategy to take down his Colleen.
I think for Sakonoko, when they were actually on the away side fighting against Good 8 Squad, he's actually not having really good matchups against Barok, Fugera, as well as Gachikun Rashid. It's both not very good matchups for Menat. So that is definitely not a good situation to be actually coming out. But now he's on the home side. He has a chance, to be playing against who he wants to. And I think he got Colleen this time. So that's actually really, and I felt like with the strategy the team has been putting out, they want to score all the points. And I do think they have a chance to score 4-0 with Sako, and Tokido and Bonchan being behind. This may be their chance. I do think a 4-0 may be possible. Are they really that hungry to get the first place, or they are just trying to maintain at the second and third place? We'll see.
Right, I mean, it's still a tough hill to climb if they want to be in the first place spot. I think they'd have to have a flawless record and also rely on Good 8 Squad to completely falter in their next couple of games. If Good 8 Squad happens to score absolutely nothing, I think the V6 plus FAV Roto Z team can take over in first place, so long as they also have a flawless record. V6 plus FAV Roto Z needs 8 points to tie up with Good 8 Squad. Then it comes down to the tiebreaker, where it comes down to how many games have been won overall to see who would take it. And if that is also tied, then it comes down to the last time they encountered each other and who takes it there. But as it stands right now, I think it's a pretty tough ask, a pretty tall order if you're looking for Good 8 Squad to fall in all their games.
I feel that that's impossible, because for a squad like Good 8 Squad, even if they're gonna lose 4 games today, the next team they're gonna be playing, they have to lose another 4 games, not scoring a single point. I feel like that has a team so far, they hasn't have a score as bad as 0-4 for the entire SFL League, and I don't think this is happening on the last 2 matches that they have to play, especially being the last team, they are facing. They are actually on the home side, So I do believe this will be a fight for FAV Roto Z to be staying for the second and third place. to stay at the upper side of the bracket when it goes into the playoff. I think that is a result being really good enough, and I do want to see that, you know, happen.
And as we get the matchups going between Kawano as well as Sakonoko, we talked about that home team trivia, or the trivia in general, the theme for this week or this episode. We talked about the importance of the team matchups, some of the key things to take into consideration. Bonchan says individual focus lessens your weak points. So team matches focuses on advices and character matchups. So we see how much communication is important for the teams as we get ourselves started. After the trivia has been settled, it's Sakonoko versus Kawano. We'll see how it plays out. Manat versus Colleen. What do we know about this matchup and how it plays out, Xian?
Well, for this matchup, you know, it's generally Colin trying to get in with whatever way, you know, he's trying, you know, just to close in, because Manat's button don't have a lot of hurt box. When it comes to whiff punish, it's not very easy. Even if Kawano is very good at whiff punishing, you know, Manat is just not that character. So this will be an offensive matchup for Colleen to be getting in against Manat, while Sako tries to keep him out until he gets his V-trigger, and it will be a Sakonoko V-trigger game from that point onwards.
Right, we'll see how that plays out. Kawano sitting on that V-trigger, looking for a way in with the wall of normals, the wall of orbs, I should say, that Sakonoko's been pressing, and not throwing out any of the recalls, right? What a time to use that V-skill. Good call out there from Kawano, and he finds his way in, but here comes that positioning. Man, Sakonoko read that a mile away. The neutral jump attacking with the orbs. That's going to be more than enough. Back-to-back reads from both players, and Sakonoko coming out the victor.
That was a crazy round, as you can see, because Kawano went with that V-skill is not safe, and Sakonoko get to activate his V-trigger, and whenever Sako activates his V-trigger, usually he actually will take the round. That is how strong actually Sako is with, you know, when it comes to getting the V-trigger. But right now, Kawano is having a really strong lead right here. His combo is not gonna kill. Sako still has the chance to be playing around with V-trigger unless he spends his EX, which he does. He's spending all the meter. Kawano, just as we're speaking, 25 seconds now, he doesn't want to see Sako with that V-trigger. Even though he has so much of a health lead, he wants to make sure he kills Sakonoko. I really like that decision making. A lot of respect right here from Kawano right here for his elderly.
Ooh. That is a pretty solid punish. I like that. Does get the orb recall into the sweep. Sakonoko gaining some real estate back, and now using the orb to apply the threat, right? He wants to use the orb in front of Kawano to gain himself a little bit more space to work with, and then the recall putting in the most work, forcing Kawano in this situation where he thinks he's going to have an opportunity to press a button. Big counter hit against Sakonoko off of that orb from the Fierce.
That counter changes the whole game entirely, you know. Just check the position and everything. Now Sako is gonna activate the V-trigger. You know, now he has the orb coming. I don't think counters can afford to take any, you know, throws from here. Let's see how is Sakonoko gonna be using that to his advantage with the orbs. Look at the use of those orbs. And that comeback right there, you know, Sakonoko has so many good reads, you know, when it comes to using the orb. He knows exactly his opponent is so scared of his orb that he doesn't have to go into any mix-up, but just the basic throw mix-up, you know, and at the right moment, cracking Kawano with the V-trigger. There was 2 straight rounds, you know, that he has been using the V-trigger for the win. That is how much of a master and trickery that not every Manat can actually do it, which is why he is Sakonoko.
We'll see how that plays out. Kawano knowing full well what to do in certain situations. Currently at a predicament against Sakonoko. Let's see if he can solve this puzzle, trying to get in against Sakonoko. But still, that orb, yes sir, this is going to be great for Kawano, right? The orb is so far away for that recall. Sakonoko is severely handicapped without it. And a big conversion as well into the stun. Not just yet, yes sir. And I do like that from Kawano. As soon as he got his momentum, he did not let go whatsoever. And you can see a little bit of frustration, a little bit of a sigh there from Sakonoko. He looked all the way up too. He stretched his back out. He's like, damn, I actually got on that one.
I felt that his desire to win has been so strong because I've never seen Sako having much expression even when he actually got a loss. But you know, his defense at this point right here is the biggest problem. Now his op is very far away from his character again. Kawano has been trying to take out the round at this moment whenever, you know, he gets to go into Sako's face with all those pressure right here. Sako just going for the normal options right here until he getting his B trigger, and Kawano immediately back off the moment B trigger happens. You know, doesn't want to. No way, there has to be an execution error. I felt that this round is
1000%.
That was a checkmate right there. It's a checkmate. I don't think this is going anywhere from Sako. You know, he's just trying to throw the ops out, but the executional error is going to be proving really deadly, you know, at an important point like this.
I wouldn't be too surprised if you made a comeback off of 3 orbs, to be honest with you, with resets. But as it stands right now, yeah, the V trigger is no longer going to be a threat. But hold on, wait a minute. Sakonoko is still making something of it. Kawano might be in trouble. Who knows? With 22 seconds left on the clock, I think Sakonoko might be able to make it happen. An important tech, and this is going to be so tough right now for Sakonoko to even try to close it out. But he does! He actually does! Despite the trigger activation, Sakonoko, even with a slight smirk on his face, he still manages to get the comeback against Kawano. That was ridiculous amount of composure coming in from Sakonoko. What a comeback!
I have got to say that was really rare for a Bernard without a V-trigger to be scoring a comeback, especially against so much resources of Kawano. Kawano is definitely cracking up at this point. As you can see, this is not looking good at all for Kawano. That is a round for Kawano no matter how you see it. Now Kawano is taking a lot more risks. He's trying to read a B skill, you know, to try to get Sakonoko into the corner. And he spent almost all of his B trigger right here. You know, he's not gonna get another one easily because Sakonoko may be getting his B trigger one first. The situation looking so good right here. Is Kawano gonna try to think of how to get a comeback, and it's not gonna be easy at this point.
How did he even amass that comeback? And look at the amount of life with Sakonoko, with the trigger as well. That's gonna be more than just enough. Yeah, and that was gonna come out eventually, right? It's the mix, the constant mix. Sakonoko, being as graceful as ever, puts his hands up and he's like, "I'm sorry." Thank you for the games. 2-0 against Kawano's Colleen. Man, that was completely unprecedented. I didn't, you know, right when you said he pretty much gave it up after Critical Art, I believed you. I 100% believed you. It looked like it was going to be in Kawano's favor. We thought we were going to see another game.
Yep.
At least.
But then, I think so too, but it didn't happen. You know, Sakonoko really managed to keep it from there. I wish the highlight reel will be coming. You know, you have to see the whole round of how he actually come back with no meter, you know, and no resources. That was so good right there from Sakonoko. I got to say, this is one of the best gameplay I've seen from Sakonoko in a while.
Yeah, and you called it earlier, right? There's something about him where he's really eager to take this W, especially for his team in the current standings. 4 out of 6 when it comes to anti-airs against Colleen. Nothing when it comes to the side of invincible reversals. Absolutely didn't need it. But on the other hand, you see Kawano 1 for 1 in anti-airs, 100%. That is great and all, but again, Colleen not having the invincible reversals. We're going to see a bunch of donuts from that department. But as it stands right now, Pugera is going to be next on the block for Good 8 squad. Who's going to contest him this time? If we were looking at previous records, V6 plus FAV Roto Z versus Good 8 squad, Bonchan actually faced off against Pugera with that Karin and actually took it down 2-0. We might see the run back.
I think they're gonna switch up the strategy because Tokido actually lost against Gachikun the last time. I do think it's definitely better for Tokido to be taking against Pugera, you know, while Bonchan take against Gachikun. After all, you know, Bonchan has such a good track record, you know, against Rashid as when he plays Karin. So if they want to score all 4 points, the best bet has to be Tokido taking on Pugera. I'm not too sure how comfortable he is, you know, in fighting against Pugera. But if you want to score all the points, Tokido, you has to be coming out right now. through, and there you go. We got Tokido right there. No surprises, for their strategy. They really wants the win. No matter how tough the situation, how uphill the battle, the guy who has the number one in everything, he is always number one, even in a team tournament. He's the number one, Tokido.
Yeah, you can see his stats alone, right? The amount of games that he's played and the amount of points he's accumulated, let alone the amount of mirrors he's about to land from the V-Trigger activation, which we might see. Pugera also one of the top 3-point earners in the league with the amount of rounds that he's played. We've seen what his stats are like in terms of anti-air. You got 63%. Now I kind of want to see where the breakdown is with EXs and the V-Gauge eventually. But yeah, no, Xian, you've been absolutely on point, calling out the gameplay as well as the team order. I think what happens here with Tokido and Pugera, I think Tokido has had such a dominant performance over Pugera. Since we saw him play over at the Intel World Open, they actually face off against each other in bracket play and 2 times over for the qualifier and in the top 8 scenario. Pugera actually fell short to Tokido 2 times, or no, in the second time over in the bracket, and it was actually pretty convincing. So Tokido, when he says he's well versed in the Balrog matchup, he isn't kidding. So putting him here right now might yield the most success. But going into the away team trivia, we talked about the importance of, or what actually the key importances are for a team tournament. But before we even got into that, Kichipamu just said that he actually celebrated his birthday not too long ago. So happy belated birthday to Kichipamu. But going into the trivia itself, Gachikun says, although there's an age gap amongst players, everyone can still communicate very well, which emphasizes how important it is with the team tournament with communication. Right? We talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses as a unit. You have to make sure to put it all on the table and talk about some of these things with the strategy.
I have definitely no doubt when it comes to communicating, for their team. They has been doing so well. It's definitely not only individual player strength when it comes to a team tournament. They has to be communicating well and giving great advices, which is why all of them, has been like doing so well. So this, I could give Kichipamu a good reason to sit out since he just celebrated his birthday. But I really want to see him playing much more because he definitely has been sitting out way too much, and I really love to see some Zangief gameplay. So talking about this second place right here, where Tokido is actually here. Now that they have won 1 point, they really move on to the, over Gyogun. So they are pretty much very secure, I would say, when it comes to not tying with Gyogun at the very least, but knowing the team and someone like Tokido is always netting for the number 1 win. So I really want to see how he's able to make this mission impossible happen in a setting like this. If they score 4-0, somehow if they made it to the first place of the league, this is gonna be the most clutch, and impressive, run, for the later part of the league by this team, especially in a mathematically not possible situation. But never underestimate a team like Sako, Tokido, Bonchan, and Ryusei. Anything could happen. So we'll see.
I feel like the doubt isn't even within like the V6 team. I feel like they could potentially score a 4-0 against Good 8 Squad. I think that's pretty likely. It's just a matter of the other teams if they could pull their weight and drag down the Good 8 Squad, right? Do the other teams have what it takes to cause Good 8 Squad to lose every single game going forward? That's what I want to know, personally.
I agree. That is really too much of a barrier. It's not only about their strength, but let's see. Right now, not to forget, Tokido has a very ridiculous boxer as well. We have seen him bust it out against Daigo's Gao. So this is not a matchup that Tokido doesn't know. He's a master of Urien. He is also a master of, Baro. So let's see how he's going to use his understanding of this character to deal with in this matchup.
And you see so far a ton of swinging from the side of both players right now, and as it stands, Pugera getting the most of it off of that crush counter, but still the view reversal, so offensive. Go ahead.
And he's just going into the corner right here. Pugera still going for his specialty, his V skill 2, where he just using the turn punch to actually get over the fireball. And now Pogera has the mirror, but he's staying so calm, you know, trying to get one hit. Pogera just knowing when to be buffering the down medium punch. As a charge character for Boxer, you know, you don't get to buffer all the time. Every time you buffer something, it's gone because you lost the charge. So what's impressive of being a good Boxer is knowing when to do the buffer, which is what makes Pogera such a great player right here.
Same could be applied for Takedo and that Urian, right? Off of that standing medium punch into the tackle to create that bust out opportunity. We'll talk about that later. It's man in the mirror time. We're going to see that second activation coming out soon. We're going to see how it's going to be played out, but still, we're going to get the throw first, a good amount of damage, taking down the great equalizer once the trigger is out. And speaking of, that view reversal so well played out by Pogera, using the plus frames to get himself that situation out of the mirror with the EX dash punch after the V skill dash punch too.
That has to be the best VR you had actually do, because he actually managed to waste Tokido's second mirror as well, causing Tokido to be in such a situation with no resources besides like V-shift and reversal. You know, he doesn't even have a meter right here. This situation is looking so awful right here from Tokido, and I really like the down medium punch that Pogera has been using. It seems to be hitting a lot of Tokido's down medium kick, as you can see from round 1 at the crucial later part of the game, and as well as like during part of the game, you can see every time Pogera goes for the down medium punch, it's so on point, has a whip punish against Tokido's down medium kick. It has happened 3 to 4 times in this match alone, so Tokido definitely has been noticing it because he's the one pressing that down medium kick. I wonder if he's gonna be switching up to stand medium kick, fireball, or any other things. You know, we haven't seen much fireball thrown from Tokido, because we know Pogera is the tap monster. He's always holding on the tap to pass through the fireball. So let's see what the different strategy Tokido will be implementing for this round.
I think one of the key noticeable strategies that Pogera has been utilizing is kind of hovering outside of the ranges that Takedo is comfortable throwing those normals at, right? He'll walk into that space, down charge with the block, right? A crouching block, and then kind of shimmy his way back or shuffle his way back just ever so slightly, making sure that Takedo whiffs that button and gets the whiff punish accordingly. There's not too many instances where Takedo does happen to whiff normals, but Pogera has done such a great job of making him think he's going to sit still and force some of these normals, but ends up getting that whiff punish. So we're seeing that consistently from Pogera. I wonder if Takedo is going to put himself in that situation again, or if he's going to keep it more compact. Will he be moving forward a little bit more against Pogera?
Yeah, this is the beauty of fighting game, you know. So we'll see the adjustment and the mentality of Tokido right from the way he's going to be playing this match in this game. We'll see what he's been thinking for the last 1 minute, you know, how he decided to counter. But it seems like he's still going for the same strategy as the last round, where Pogera, that was a sick anti-air. Sometimes you just don't know how Pogera can just do a DP from half a screen away the moment he sees someone jump, doing a neutral jump. That was absolutely disgusting.
Speaking of, look at this corner pressure here from Pogera. We're going to see the activation from the trigger, maybe from Takedo. Are we going to see the mirror? Will Pogera even give him that chance? It's looking like a no, but here we go. Yes, sir, does get the activation. No big mix. He's just going for the knockdown and the damage. Does get the counter hit on the jab. Pogera gets himself into a real interesting predicament. No buttons pressed. The defense is immaculate. Look at the tech as well. Pogera very comfortable in this corner. Takedo still has a tough hill to climb. That is an excellent V reversal from the side of Pogera. Just one touch away, and he finds it via the movement. Takedo tried to move out of the way, but the low medium kick catches him just in time. Pogera getting the first round, looking at match point.
I would say that Pogera has been pretty dominant in this neutral game, and the EX armor to get through the gap as a 3-frame armor move. You know, Pogera is taking the risk whenever it's necessary as well, not only winning on the neutral. Tokido is shaking a lot of button, but finally he got the biggest handshake, which gets into a cross counter. Now the position is what Tokido wants to be at. Now he's trying to score that comeback with right here, but you can't get him by Barrow. He just gets him back into the mid screen and activating the V trigger. Both players gonna be a V trigger game at this point, but Tokido is taking all the risks. I like that.
I like that a lot. That was pretty disrespectful, right? Getting himself into a negative situation, immediately busting out with the EX headbutt. That's going to be a huge point, and I like that. It led to this very moment, getting himself on the board with at least that round, getting the confirm into the mirror. Tokido fighting to live another day.
And he still has to use the tackle to get the maximum meter build when it comes to something like this. The details that Tokido has a perfectionist, you know, you can see from the gameplay. Even at this point of the match, he wants to make sure he has the best meter build. Even just a little meter makes a difference to him. So this is the perfectionist right here. He has a very good track record, you know, when it comes to results. So this is the guy you're facing, and I will be surprised if he's going down from here. I want to see him get another game at this point.
We're seeing the counter pokes coming into fruition from Pugera with that crouching medium punch yet again, still finding the mark and now pushing Tokido into the corner. One big bust out, and look at the cash out from the Grey Life itself. Pugera scoring a ton of damage off of that hit alone because of how much he's made Tokido block. Another view reversal to get himself out of the way from the mirror, and look at that, just backing away as soon as he finds the dissipation of that mirror. Another throw, watch out, one touch away, but here comes Tokido, netting himself a lot of damage, and that corner switch with the tech, so important for Pugera.
I would say that Tokido has been getting every throw tag wrongly. Pugera has tagged every single one. This is not very good for situation because Tokido didn't get a little knockdown, but every time he get it, you know, he just couldn't get the Oki going. You know, Pugera gets correctly for a lot of his defense. Even the neutral game, that is not spelling good. But as we say, you know, this situation is not something very unexpected. You know, so right now you can see that Good Squad is guaranteed to be on the first place. They don't look really excited. I think it's something pretty normal for them, but right now the fight has begun. I want to see how, you know, Roto Z is gonna be getting points and stay in the upper bracket going into the playoff. So we get to see Evo champs and Capcom Cup champion facing off, Karin versus Rashid. That should be no doubt, and see how this is gonna play out.
Yeah, and again, Pugera taking it down 2-0 against Tokido. I don't know if you guys heard it earlier, but Pugera actually said that he'll have his teammates become the pillar of the team, and he'll become one as well, but he's not one yet. But I don't know, man. The way that he performed against Tokido, he's looking well like one of the pillars for his team. Look at the flawless record, right? 2 out of 2 when it comes to anti-airs, 100%, as well as 2 games straight against Tokido. Although some of his teammates may not have understood what Pugera was saying, I'll tell you what, his results speak for themselves, as Tokido has been completely shut down, 0 on all fronts. And of course, you can see, you know, Pugera keeping it to the ground game, so no anti-airs there. However, the EX bust outs, 1 out of 2, 50%, not too bad for Tokido, but at the same time, it didn't net him the proper victory that he was looking for. But now, as you prefaced it earlier, it's gonna be Bonchan facing off against Gachi-kun. 2 champions in their own right in their respective events, Rashid versus Karin. We've seen this matchup so many times, Xian, so many times.
Yep.
But this is the first time they're going to be facing off against each other in the league.
And I think they have actually played a lot of different combination. I do see before Nash, you know, that Bonchan has used against Gachi-kun in one of those Capcom Cup. So Bonchan has tried out a lot of different options. Sagat is definitely not an option right here, but you know, this time he decides to go with Karin, which is he still has a chance to revenge against Good Squad. You know, Good Squad last time gave FAB Roto Z a 3-1. You know, so now this is a time for FAB Roto Z to return the favor. This Evo champion has a very nice track record when it comes to invincible and anti-air percentage. That is a very strong play. It's also the 3rd place when it comes to scoring points. That is a guy with such a good stats right here. I really think that is pretty impressive.
Right, so again, there have been a couple of losses from the side of Bonchan, right? But as it stands right now, being able to play as the anchor, he has a couple of times to redeem himself. He actually has a significant time to redeem himself. We'll see if it plays out to his favor, or will Gachi-kun have something to say about it, right? Gachi-kun has been playing pretty well for himself overall. as expected, right? Gachikun being one of the top point earners as well, or just, you know, just doing phenomenally with the team order, being the captain that he is for Grenade Squad. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this plays out. I'm ready for it, honestly. Karen versus Rashid, let's get it.
And this is also the stage, you know. This is gonna be early into the corner right there from Bonchan. I like the pace that he's playing, but the thing about trying to keep Rashid in the corner is getting more and more difficult, you know, because Rashid has a lot more options to be getting out. So I want to see how he's gonna be using, what kind of strategy, you know, to fight against someone like Gachikun. Nice side switch.
Oh my goodness, so far, yes sir. Look at the harassment coming in from Gachikun. Just absolutely flawless from what it looks like, man. He has been destroying Karen in the corner.
The gameplay that Gachikun is mixing around with the dash after the throw, that is not safe, but he's taking a lot of initiative to make Bonchan doubt of what he can do. And also like how he used the heavy tornado wind in the last round to bait out the V-shift because it's a lot slower than the normal one. So Bonchan tried to V-shift in that round, but he couldn't. You know, so now he's back into the corner. Gachikun has shown a lot more impressive corner game, you know, compared to what he used to be. He's always a more defensive player, but I find that his offense has been improving a lot as well, you know, as the season goes. He may be getting some advice from his teammates, which is why it's so important to have teammates, you know, advising you.
Yeah, we're trying to see how that plays out, right? With the amount of meter right now, yes, sir, the activation there coming in from Gachikun. Now he's playing all offensive instead of playing as defensive, and you can see how much damage that would have done if Bonchan had a little bit more life, right? With the stun as well, it would have been so much damage.
That looks so different from like what I would expect from the game. You know, Gachikun's offense is so on point that he has been dashing after the throw. He has been getting shimmies, you know, by walking, you know, after the throw, after the corner, even though you don't really get real Oki right there. But I felt like he has been so sharp when it coming to cracking Bonchan's defense, which is really difficult because he's one of those that is known for defense as he's a Sagat player. But he has been doing so well, I would say, Gachikun, for the last round.
Ooh. Let's see how it plays out right now. So far, Gachikun trying to be as active as ever. Bonchan trying to find ways around some of the normals, around some of the whirlwind shots, and that's a great way to use it right now. The offensive, the reversal to push Gachikun further into the corner.
And even though he's using all the resources, you know, like he still couldn't able to get him into the corner. And right now, Gachikun is the one that managed to push him into the corner. So Bonchan has to play really careful at this point because in this position is where everybody loses against Rashid. Because in a corner, the biggest thing about being in a corner is you don't have any time to be walking backwards. You're fixed in a position right there and Gachikun capitalize on it. So well played. It's a complete domination so far.
Domination is definitely the right word. Look at the amount of control that Gachikun has when it comes to defense and trying to counter poke. He leaves himself not as susceptible. Man, that is classic commentator's curse. And look at it all go downhill, Xian. As soon as I say one thing about counter poking, Gachikun does get smacked up a little bit. But Bonchan now trying to keep the control here, despite the trigger being activated and the life lead. Man, he got clipped just barely with the crush counter. It's looking all Gachikun now.
Oh, and I feel like trapping Rashid in the corner is the hardest thing ever. Ooh, wake up with the stand medium. Today, this is not the first time we have seen, you know, wake up stand medium. We've seen it from Tachigawa as well. Is this a new wake up option for the meta in the last few matches? Like crucial moments, they're all doing unorthodox decision right here, and so far it's working out really well. Bonchan staying back into the neutral. He doesn't want to do anything too crazy. He has the lead. He don't have a CA, but he knows any hit from here from Gachikun. A crush counter, a stand heavy could kill. Nice! His reaction is so on point to be interrupting the EX Tornado at the right moment going into the round. He doesn't want to go into 0-2 at this point. Let's see if he's able to make it happen.
I like the composition there from Bonchan, right? Still looking out for some of the gaps, not letting Gachikun get away with things that are punishable, right? Especially in that dire situation, Bonchan just needed one hit and he found it. And speaking of that one hit, man, double usage of the EX meter off of that low forward confirm into EX Tenko. That's going to be huge, but now for Gachikun, it's even bigger with the trigger activation. Man, these guys are swinging. It's been non-stop. A big crush counter now. Bonchan bringing Gachikun to the corner. What's going to happen? Is he going to find a way to bust out? Uses the Hurricane, or using the Whirlwind Shot, excuse me, into trigger to create some space.
There's one more hit, and Gachikun can go for the Eager Kick anytime in comparison of the Super, but now Bonchan is the one who get it first, and he dropped that. That was so rare right there from Bonchan. And Gachikun just wakes up and capitalizes with a down medium kick into the Eager Kick into the CA. The whole game and momentum now changes so heavily. I don't know if Bonchan is gonna get 3 straight back from a player like Gachikun or not. So let's see if that is gonna happen. But great play right there from Gachikun so far, I think.
That was so interesting, right? He went for the Mujin Kyok. I think he tried to build himself enough meter to get even more damage off of it, but he didn't get it. I think if he were to do the shoulder, if he were to end that sequence with Orochi, like if he did low forward Tenko into Orochi, do you think it would have done enough damage to kill Gachikun though?
I don't think the Orochi is gonna be enough, so especially at the point of time, he only have like 1 second to be thinking. That conversion is probably correct, because if you do the Orochi and you happen to get the meter, you can't convert into an EX move. So logically, Bonchan went for the Mujin Kaku, but don't have the meter, so before he's able to think of what he's gonna do next, Gachikun already landed down medium kick, taking down the round. Bonchan knows he has to think and adapt faster, at this point. You can't slack off in a game which is so fast-paced and high-level match. So I want to see how he's gonna adapt to Gachikun's gameplay. But Gachikun is not staying stagnant at all nowadays. He's being very aggressive. So very new style, I would say. Very new change of style. So I want to see what else he has preparing for this match up till now.
As it stands right now, Gachikun looking at a very significant lead against Bonchan. Very scary situation, actually, because you don't want to be in that scramble between second and fifth for too long. But as it stands right now, Gachikun is looking to put V6 plus FFV Roto Z in their place with the current lead of 2 games straight and already swinging. Despite Bonchan getting the first hit, it's all Gachikun right now.
And come to think of this, looking at this, it reminds me that this is not the first time Bonchan is in this situation against Rashid. He actually went down 0-2 at Evo before against, Big Bird. So this is not the first time he has scored a comeback, and he has the caliber to be scoring that comeback. So right now, the position right here, Gachikun just go EX Eager Kick out of the corner. I feel like the EX Eager Kick is not really meant to hit. It is meant to go back to the neutral. And now everything will begin from here. No spanning meter there from Bonchan. One more down medium kick. Any buffer could have taken it right here. I'm feeling intense for this 2 player right now.
So with the full critical art, right? Bonchan just needs 1 touch to get it against Gachikun, and Gachikun's in that same situation. Just needs a light, a little bit easier, higher success rate to get that stray hit. Oh my goodness. Okay, the Grey Life added back up a little bit, so maybe another light kick could do it. And it's going to be the medium kick. A big interruption there from Bonchan. He commit into the Sapo, the command dash off of a block. He was trying to be a little cheeky. Gachikun 1000% ready for it. Look at that match point now.
He may have dropped the down medium kick to the Tenko as well, but it's really hard to tell what he wants to do at that point. But now he gets a nice clean hit. This is really match point for Gachikun. Bonchan has to make a lot of good decisions at this point. But he seems to be doing pretty well. What a nice buffer. That wasn't even an easy buffer right there for Karin. And he just get it easily. But okay, the EX Potato getting out of the corner. Not the right conversion for the kill. He should have went for the Tenko and he actually get the kill right there. But still, he got the round. Everything is doing well. Let's see how it's going to play out in the last round.
Some of these buffers, right? Bonchan throwing out some of the medium punches, but Gachikun still not being susceptible to any of the counter pokes that Bonchan has presented. And I like that interrupting that forward movement against Bonchan. And speaking of interruptions, Bonchan gets a side switch of his own. Gachikun is going to be playing out of this corner. The crouching heavy punch into the EX Eagle Spike. That was just intently on the fact that he wanted to get out of the corner. He wanted to make sure to use that sequence to get out, but it happened to hit Bonchan anyway. And these guys are swinging. Another side switch, another forward throw from the side of Bonchan. I'm very much so aware that Gachikun wants to get out of the corner via wall jump, but that's going to be more than enough. He gets to confirm into trigger, and there's nothing stopping this man from taking it 3-0 and also getting 3 points for his team, solidifying their spot into the grand finals of the playoffs happening towards the end of January. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's a fight between 2nd and 5th place because we've seen who's already at the top of the mountain waiting for the rest of the competitors here at Street Fighter League Pro-JP. Congrats to Good 8 Squad solidifying that first place spot.
I feel like this has been such a one-sided, I think nobody really expect, with so many great players and great teams in SFL, Good 8 Squad actually overshine. I felt like they're doing so well, they're so up on the league. You have the rest of the players trying to fight from the 2nd or the 5th position. The dominance is so ridiculous, is the word to be describing this team. I guess Bonchan didn't get to redeem himself. He can't be feeling that great, But still, that is a very good match, and I feel like he's still in a not bad position. They're still on the 2nd place in the league. So, we've got the stats.
Not too bad at all, right? 50-50 when it comes to Gachikun. I feel like that's the kind of predicament he puts everybody else in. 50% when it comes to the anti-airs, 50% with the invincible reversals. Not too bad, but again, ever so impressive. 3-0 against an EVO champion. Bonchan getting the most of that work. I gotta say, man, that's pretty impressive being on the away side, being susceptible to the counter pick. But overall, let's take a look at how it went down. We have to see this highlight from Sakonoko, the comeback of the century, but more importantly so, getting the mix on someone like Kawano. We've seen Kawano actually get most of the control and most of the advantage throughout the match, but please, we gotta see what happened towards the end.
Yep, and Sako is one of the king of the ops when it comes to V-Trigger 1. He took up so many rounds. His V-Trigger 1 is not only strong, it's so unpredictable, when it comes to using it, and you can see the highlights whenever he gets V-Trigger 1. This is one of the sickest options he has made. He didn't show the whole highlight reel, but then that comeback was so good, and in this position right there, even though Sako dropped that combo, there's still 4 different ops. Even if you can manage to block that op right there, you're still going to be taking a mix. So there we go, we got the Tokido against Pugera. I like the mirror position that Pugera has been putting at this point. And he's trapping Pugera in the corner really well, but it came a little bit too late to be able to get the comeback. But so far the mirror didn't work exactly well. I also like how he builds his meter, even though it's at such a crucial match. He's making sure that he takes every single opportunity, maximizing all the situation. No matter how big the tournament is, he never ever make his combo easier. That's because he's so confident of himself when it comes to execution. You also get to see a very nice switch of the gameplay right there from Gachikun, where he changed up his different tornado winds. His corner mix-up offense is so much different from what he used to be. He used to be a much more passive player, nothing surprising from Bonchan, he confirms. And this is the one game that could have changed everything. Bonchan couldn't decide what is the conversion to be doing. Gachiko woke up with down meter and actually scoop up the game changing. This could be a drop from the confirm right here. And it could be anything at this point, This V-shift option select after the tornado, is so good. This Gachiko has been using it since the early part of the game. And there you go. He got it with the combo into the CA. That was great.
And that was just an unfortunate circumstance too. I think Gachikun was gonna throw out that crouching heavy punch into EX Eagle Spike to get himself out of the corner. That last play before even that final sequence we saw from the replay. There was that instance where he threw out crouching heavy punch into Eagle Spike just to get himself out, right, out of pressure. And it just so happened that Bonchan ran into that crouching heavy punch, leading to even that situation. It wasn't even EX Eagle Spike, excuse me. It was Enhanced Eagle Spike from the V-Trigger 2. But yeah, overall, I think that was just a good call out there from Gachikun. Like, he knew he wanted to get himself out of the corner. It just so happened that Bonchan fell susceptible to it. He was just right in the way and caught it with his face. The good old strategy of blocking with your face does not work out majority of the time, and that is definitely not the time to use it. But still, we are getting the away team interview with Good 8 Squad, again, who have successfully secured their spot into the grand finals for the playoffs. Right? They would just need one win to get themselves into that World Championship happening in February, by the way, during Capcom Cup. And I believe it is the weekend of the 13th. So make sure to mark your calendars for that very situation. And as we get that interview going, Gachikun saying that his wife and daughter are watching as he is playing. So he's extremely happy with that win, as he should be. That is a huge deal.
Yeah, that was a 3-0 right there, you know, and I know Gachikun and Bonchan have been playing back and forth for many times, but I've never seen a record as clean as a 3-0, you know, especially Bonchan actually has been preparing for this match since he's on the home team side, and Gachikun being on the away side, he has to prepare for more matchups, you know, he may not know who he's facing. This is definitely a win that I would say that well deserved right there from Gachikun. It's always been a very close fight, 3-2 between the both players. But now things has changed. Gachikun has the momentum, he became stronger, and he got the win. Congrats to them making it into the playoff.
Absolutely well deserved. We can see how the matchups played off. Camouflage Detonation falling short 1-3 against Gyogun, who's been on the chopping block at the edge of 5th place, but now shooting further into the records or into the standings. However, V6 plus FAV Roto Z also falling a little short. That's kind of scary considering where they were at. They were around the middle mark, but now with the record as it stands, I think they're still slightly above. Oh, actually, no, they're in 2nd place. My mistake. They're doing just fine. Good 8 Squad solidifying their spot. V6 plus FAV Roto Z with 28 points in 2nd place. Gyogun now in 3rd. Nagoya Ultra Body Star just 1 point above Shinobiism Gaming. They're the bottom two, 2nd through 5th place. 6, 7, and 8 is what we need to focus on right now. Camouflage Detonation no longer in the running. Milton Beast still has their chance to break through, and Sai Shunkan Soul Kumamoto just needs a wish and a prayer to possibly make it out alive. There's still playoff contentions for 6th and 7th place, but as it stands right now for Camouflage Detonation, it's looking pretty grim as there's only a couple more days left. It's been absolutely an honor actually to be broadcasting all of this with the official English broadcast. Bringing Xian back for one of these matches actually for this month has been an absolute honor. In fact, we have even more going to you the next week. Xian, who do we have up after this weekend?
I think it will be a really surprise to be not seeing Mutant Beast actually made it. So I'm very excited they'll be seeing Mutant Beast and all other matches playing it. So I think we have come to the end of today. So this is a really great day with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this trailer. Don't forget to tune in next week on Monday. Once again, we're gonna see you guys. Closing off.